So we have saved close to 1,500 Iron Banner tokens in preparation for this season. And Saladin didn't give us a single god roll of the steady hand. This is a 120 round per minute hand cannon in that aggressive frame archetype. So intrinsically, it's got like high count rounds. Big shout out here though to Roar, Expired, and Kawa for landing some amazing rolls that we wanted to try here. Because no lie, guys, I was at a loss. I didn't know what the hell was supposed to be good on this hand cannon. Because to be honest with you, every 120 round per minute hand cannon that I pick up feels like garbage outside of Stern. They all jump out of your hand, and despite the range buff, which is substantial for 120s, and the RPM buff, I still don't really like 120s. But steady hand, oh, she turned me. First up, guys, we're gonna go through a number of rolls here, but these are the random rolls. So just kind of wanted to give us an overview of what we're looking at. Some things to take a note of about steady hand. Yes, it looks like True Prophecy. It also shoots like True Prophecy, and yes, it has the abysmal recoil that True Prophecy also has. I'm gonna try to not do too many comparisons between it and True Prophecy, because understand, when we talk about the king of 120s, it's not True Prophecy, it's most definitely Stern, which is quite nice. Steady hand though does have some of the best stats in regards to legendaries, being outclassed by only Duke MK44. I know, man, it's too soon. Why, Bungie? Why? But since steady hand is gonna be our next best option amongst legendaries, let's talk about the roles that we got to play with today. First up, I wanted to actually hunt down 2 different types of rolls, and this is something we do with pretty much every weapon we review. We go with the most efficient version of a gun in regards to consistency and range and ease of use versus the most lethal version of the weapon. And then sometimes if we got enough time, we actually try to marry those two up together. There are times where you can actually have the best of both worlds, both a very lethal weapon as well as consistent, aka Telesto. If you have not joined the cult of Telesto, I advise you do it today. It's a fantastic weapon, and you can rock it right here with steady hand. But talking about steady hand though, the first roll that we gave a go was this hit mark ricochet round Zen moment, which is quite noticeable on most other weapons, especially when you start doing damage, as that's when the stability bump actually takes effect, combined with the oh so dangerous perk Swashbuckler. Now, Swashbuckler, I don't know, it's not that dangerous. Obviously, Rampage might be better here, but if you are rocking some melee-based builds, aka Top Tree Dawn Blades melee, or Celestial, procking something like Swashbuckler ×5 upon a melee kill is not that difficult. Or if you're just an AP Titan, Swashbuckler is pretty much your middle name. But it does ramp up the damage, going from 90 per crit up to 96 damage per crit, which is actually some rounding there. But the word on the street is you can't kill Guardians, or at least 2-tap them, unless they are 4 to 5 resilience or less. Now, I'm leaning toward 4, because I know there's rounding of numbers. I normally have a test dummy, but they all ran away to Cyberpunk. Maybe it's because we called them test dummies. I didn't mean it like that. But the word in our Discord is that it can't actually 2-tap unless Guardians are 4 resilience or less, which surprisingly is more than you think. Like, I'm starting to think nobody watches any of our videos because I like preach about resilience and Telesto, and I see nobody rocking high resilience or Telesto. Now, this roll wasn't really bad, but there's something to be said about steady hand. That reload speed is quite ass. There's no way around it. That reload speed takes forever. And when you start combining traits like Iron Grip in there, it's damn near 2021 by the time this weapon reloads. And I know you can like double stack loader perks, but even then, the reload speed on steady hand takes forever to finally finish. There should be no reason why reload takes this damn long. I know it's for the sake of balance, but come on, Bungie. This weapon's only got an 8-round magazine, which actually resulted in me reloading, well, pretty much a lot in between gunfights, which takes us to now our lethal roll. Yeah, this one we wanted to kick it up a notch. All the chips are in. We don't care about stability. Zim moment who? This bad baby's got true sight, ricochet rounds, a range masterwork, yeah. Combined with the trait killing wind. Final blows grant increased mobility, weapon range, and handling, which is kind of nice, considering the handling here is almost as bad as the reload speed. And of course, Swashbuckler, which made for 2-tapping Guardians in 0.5 seconds, a beautiful sight to behold. Unless, of course, you actually run into some Guardians that are rocking more than 4 resilience, of which they kind of suck the fun out of this entire thing, which made me miss Rampage. But Swashbuckler still bay. This roll right here was quite phenomenal. Killing wind boosting the range, and I know this weapon already has a ginormous range stat. It already hits at 40+ meters. My God, how much more range do we need? And to that I say more. Always more. Obviously, there's a point where you really don't need it, but considering we're treating this hand cannon like a sniper cannon, this is a beautiful thing to play with. The main thing that I was trying to test here was Zen moment missed? My answer to answer to that is not really. Even on controller, I didn't feel like I needed Zen Moment. The reality is, Zen Moment didn't really seem to fix the wonky recoil that's present here on steady hand. But in terms of lethality, this is definitely the role. And I was actually rocking things like backup mag to boost my magazine, where I could just chain kill after kill. This to me is actually one of my favorite weapons now to bring inside of sixes, and I want this role so bad. The boost there in mobility, the touch there on handling, combined with the increase in damage of Swashbuckler, especially if you are rocking some melee-based builds. Oh, it is quite nasty. But I wanted to try, well, just one more role. Because when deciding the God role, you gotta go through them all. And this one appeared to be, well, one of the more consistent roles, as it gave us the option between either a pendant mag or high caliber round. And I bring up a pendant mag more so to show you that with something like backup mag, you can get the magazine size here on steady hand up to 13, which actually on the previous role I just showed you with Swashbuckler would be a better option, even over something like ricochet rounds. I know ricochet rounds is nice, but 8 rounds in the magazine is no bueno. But next to it is the trait Quick Draw. The weapon is drawn unbelievably fast, meaning that handling stat down here that is absolutely piss poor was not as noticeable. Oh, at 120, that actually has some level of fluidity, matching that of Sturm. Wait a minute, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Sturm, by the way, is on another level, but I'll say Quick Draw on a 120 does bring it close, which takes us to the final trait here, Iron Grip. Massively improves the weapon stability at the cost of reload speed. This is the slowest thing I think we have ever witnessed. The reload of Iron Grip on any weapon is so unbearable that you really have to sit down and ask yourself, is this really worth it? By God, is 20 stability really worth you sacrificing an already terrible reload speed? I know there's a floor. It doesn't go past like what, 10 reload? But come on, man, 10 reload. I was double stacking loader perks here and it still took forever, which is why I actually was doing things like a pendant mag and boosting my magazine size. And when I ran out of ammo, I just died because it was faster for me to die and spawn than it was to reload. But is this quickly handling 120 combined with a sizable bump in stability worth using over other roles? Like, is this the role you should go for? I actually really like this role. Yeah, it's good. Sure, the reload speed is terrible. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. As much as I hate inaccuracy while in the air, and I always slot Icarus on weapons, I dislike the reload speed so much, I just went with backup mag and just stayed on the ground like some damn barbarian. But hands down, this role was by far the most consistent and felt the best. And it was noticeable. So much so that in 3v3 modes, I would actually suggest this role over the other ones. I know Swashbuckler's nice, especially combined with something like Killing Wind. And maybe if you wanted to go an extra step and go Swashbuckler with Slide Shot, you most definitely can go that route. But that's a great role for 6v6. That's a great role for chaining kills. But for 3v3, for 1v1s, that increase in stability made this one of the easiest hand cannons to 3-tap with. Now the question is why would you want to 3-tap with this weapon? The 1 second time to kill value. Isn't the point of this archetype to get to the next level, to get to a point where we have a buff there in damage with damage dealing perks? Before somebody's like, oh, Cross, you only like kill clip, bro. Be more cultured. Wait a minute now. Okay, I like a lot of perks, all right? But there are some archetypes that obviously benefit more from damage dealing perks. When you got a 1 second time to kill value, you do need a little bit of help. Well, normally, Steady Hand has a 40-meter range. And considering how peak-oriented you can play with a hand cannon like Sturm in our Sturm review here recently, we weren't using it with anything that boosted its damage. You see, I didn't say Sturm was good, only paired with Drain. No, I said Sturm was fantastic, was S tier, was one of the best hand cannons in the game all by its lonesome due to its consistency. The bar has been set for 120s, and the best we can hope for with the small amount of other 120s that we have available to us is, can we possibly get them as close to the consistency as Sturm? I'll say that Steady Hand with this role, this Quick Draw Iron Grip role, got very, very close. And if you combine things like a ranged masterwork, and maybe you still go with something like ricochet rounds, or maybe you even want to double stack with high cal. I know this weapon already has essentially high cal intrinsically. Double stacking it does offer some level of flinch that can throw your enemy off, and that may be enough to allow you to win a gunfight. Considering this is a 120, it has an optimal time to kill of 1 second. You're gonna need all the help you can get unless you're outside of their range, which is exactly why I'm not recommending Iron Gaze. I know Iron Gaze can be worked around. I have a role here on my account, Iron Gaze, Killing Wind, high cal, sure shot, and a ranged masterwork. It pumps my range number up to 50, making it somewhat usable. Matter of fact, the range is still pretty good. Upon range testing with less and and Eddie, on my particular roll, we didn't see damage fall off until about 36.5 meters. And if you're pairing this with something like Killing Wind, that would then throw my range up to 42 to 42.5 meters. I think the question for Iron Gaze is whether or not it's worth using over Iron Grip, over Swashbuckler, etc. My answer to that is it was a noticeable increase in aim assist for controller players, but you are killing your range quite a bit. And I think the only way you can really make it work is if you are pairing Killing Wind alongside Iron Gaze. Although I will say 35 to 36 meters, depending on whether or not you have a ranged masterwork, is still not bad. The problem is though, you just lower your range low enough to now be in the same dangerous territory as Ace of Spades, as Thorn, as Hawkmoon now, and other very lethal 140 round per minute hand cannons. But with that being said, for my controller players, you might want to consider due to the fact that the aim assist, depending on your scope or your sight that you choose, on top of Iron Gaze, you could be looking at 90 aim assists on this hand cannon, which is more than most 140 round per minute hand cannons, and definitely surpasses all of our other exotic hand cannons. And a lot of people love the way Hawkmoon feels. They're like, wow, Hawkmoon feels great. I know it's not in its final form, but as a standalone hand cannon, it feels phenomenal. And a big reason for that is due to the fact that the weapon has 93 aim assists. So yeah, it plays a role, even for mouse and keyboard players. But is it enough of a trade-off to cut your range down so much? I think if you can work around it and you pair it with something like Killing Wind, controller players, that can be a very good option for you. The weapon was noticeably sticky, and at times it just kind of felt like it was doing its own thing, man, just grabbing its own shots. You will have to live with less range though, and you don't have perks like Quick Draw if you're pairing it with perks like Killing Wind. But that is definitely an option, guys, and I don't want to overlook Iron Gaze. I just think that it's better to conserve range for mouse and keyboard players, but I completely entertain the thought of Iron Gaze as long as you've got something making up the range, whether it's a sight, whether it's a masterwork, whether it's a mag perk like Ricochet Rounds or High Cal, whatever. So guys, that is our review for Steady Hand. For my PvE players that are looking for a 120 to carry them, I don't know, man. Have you seen this reload speed? It seems like it's almost a must to go with Outlaw or Slide Shot. I'm also sorry to inform you that Mulligan and armor-piercing rounds no longer works. Yes, Bungie has ninja patched this. Let us all take a moment, as this was actually one of the funnest combination of traits ever. Essentially, guys, armor-piercing rounds would go through targets, hence armor-piercing, and Mulligan would proc as it would think it was a missed shot. It was a beautiful thing to behold, but yeah, it's been patched. So for those that are wondering if that will work on this hand cannon, that is a negative. But Outlaw, Slide Shot, combined with Swashbuckler, go right ahead, man. Eat it up, PvE players. Where this hand cannon really aligns itself, though, is obviously in PvP. It offers some fun two-tapping potential inside of Crucible, and there are some things about Swashbuckler that is nice. The time duration that it lasts like a second longer than Rampage. The fact that you can rock times 5 upon proccing a melee kill. So there's some definite benefits there. And for my players that want to play with just a consistent roll, I urge you to try out Iron Grip with that stability buff. Combine that with Quick Draw, and you'll have a 120 in your hand that feels oh so amazing. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.